Welcome to This Explainer. We're transforming 3 absolutely terrifying true accounts into a literal masterclass on travel vulnerabilities and ultimately trusting your gut. We've all heard the scary stories, right? But today we're going to break down the actual mechanics of these encounters using the real accounts of the people who survived them. Okay, so let's just dive right into this eerie reality. You know, road trips represent ultimate freedom, but they simultaneously expose us to the unpredictable dangers lurking in complete strangers. Think about it. When we leave our home turf, we leave our local knowledge, our secure spaces, and our immediate support systems behind. And predators, they know exactly how to exploit that temporary displacement. To understand how this works, we're exploring a 3-act cautionary anthology, analyzing exactly how predators weaponize our social graces, our respect for authority, and our fundamental isolation against us.
Part 1. The Vulnerable Open Road.
Part 2. The Uninvited Closet Guest. We're looking at social vulnerability here. So our first story begins with a cramped car full of college friends heading to Deltopia. If you don't know, that's a massive, chaotic, all-day street party in Isla Vista, California. It's your classic road trip setup: packed car, good music, super high expectations. They were heading out to stay at the driver Hunter's sister's apartment. Well, this chaotic environment provided the absolute perfect cover for a guy named Amir. Amir was this problematic, attention-seeking acquaintance who kind of just clung to their social circle. He was definitely not invited, yet he tracked the group via a shared iPhone location and literally ambushed them at a local liquor store, just falling into step with them as if the whole thing was totally planned.
And man, this brilliantly illustrates the weaponization of social pressure. When the group got back to the apartment, Amir asked to just use the bathroom. Standard request, right? But when Hunter's sister opened the door, Amir boldly bypassed his host, confidently stating, "I'm staying here." He just forced his way into the apartment, completely exploiting the sister's assumption that he was an invited guest of her brother. It took Hunter aggressively confronting him and kicking him out to finally get him out the door. But things rapidly shift here, from just an awkward acquaintance to a totally lethal threat. The very next day, the group actually notices Amir's location dot circling them from a vehicle. He was stalking them. Then, well after midnight, the narrator wakes up to the sound of shattering glass. He creeps into the living room to find a massive rock thrown right through the glass balcony door. And then, he sees the closet door handle jiggle. Amir had sneaked inside while they were sleeping. Now, the narrator wisely backs away and wakes up Hunter. When they go back out there, the closet doors open, and Amir, he's gone. But Hunter reaches into that open closet and retrieves a massive kitchen knife. Just think about that for a second. Amir had been silently holding that knife behind the door mere moments before the narrator almost opened it. He vanished into the night, eventually blocking all of them on his phone, leaving behind a seriously chilling lesson on how dangerous it is to let toxic acquaintances cross our physical boundaries. Part 3. The Fake Police Stop. An authoritative trap. Let's travel back to a lonely Texas highway in April 1996. We've got 3 off-duty military personnel, Kay, Sabas, and our narrator, who were just looking for a fun day trip to Austin. Now, I want you to place yourself in the driver, Kay's shoes. A dark-colored Tahoe relentlessly mirrors her lane changes on this empty stretch of highway. It matches her every single move before finally activating flashing lights and forcing her to the shoulder. It's a scenario we are all completely conditioned to obey without question, isn't it? Notice the stark difference in standard police behavior versus what happens next. It's crazy. The narrator's military training kicked in almost instantly, recognizing this guy's predatory, irregular approach. I mean, instead of a standard uniform, this guy is decked out in all-black tactical gear with an illegible patch. And instead of coming straight to the window, he lingers at the back of the SUV, peering through the rear window, analyzing their cargo, and checking out Kay's bumper stickers before ever uttering a single word. Eventually, this fake officer takes her license, goes back to his Tahoe for a suspiciously long time, and returns with 2 other men. Not good, right? He asks Kay if her father is in the military, pointing to her US military bumper sticker. Kay laughed and said she was the one in the military, then pointed to her friends in the car and delivered this amazing, life-saving response, "Them too." Instantly, the imposter's body language stiffened. He completely aborted the encounter, handed the license back, and the 3 men just sped off. The true, visceral terror of this encounter hit them a week later while watching the local news. The reporter announces that a robbed and murdered couple was found dumped in a ditch near San Angelo. The vehicle found abandoned nearby, a stolen black Tahoe. A simple military bumper sticker and the implication that the vehicle's occupants were highly trained was quite literally the only thing standing between these friends and a tragic fate.
Part 4, the roadside mechanic's trap. Imagine having a breakdown on the edge of Oklahoma. You're a solo traveler, completely at the mercy of the elements. He was driving from New Jersey to Texas when his engine just quit. And the weaponization of goodwill begins right here. A nondescript white pickup pulls up. The driver, this older, rugged guy who strangely resembled the victim, immediately assumes the role of a helpful mechanic. He doesn't even ask to help. He just expertly leans over the engine block, taking charge of the situation and instantly putting the stressed traveler at ease. But look at how terrifyingly calculated this is. The pacing of this robbery is chillingly calm and practiced. The quote-unquote mechanic claims he needs a compression tester to fix the car. He pulls out his phone to call a buddy, acts like the battery is dead, and simply asks to borrow the victim's phone. The very second the victim hands over his only lifeline to the outside world, the man reaches into his jacket and pulls out a gun. He calmly robs the victim of his phone, a backpack, and critically, a wallet containing his actual Social Security card. Part 5. Tracking the Identity Thief. A relentless nightmare. What really should have been a terrible but finite roadside robbery quickly morphed into a relentless nightmare. The victim actually managed to get to his destination with the help of another passerby, canceled his cards, and thought he'd put the whole ordeal behind him. Well, 6 months later, the devastation is quantified by this initial staggering charge. The victim receives mail thanking him for opening a Best Buy card in some random town in Tennessee, already maxed out with over $1,000 in charges. The robber hadn't just taken his cash, he had stolen his entire identity. Watch how this nightmare escalates month by month. We go from the initial robbery to unexpected bank letters to massive retail fraud. But honestly, the absolute most terrifying realization comes in month 8, when the victim's health insurance calls. The thief was receiving emergency medical care in Georgia under the victim's name, permanently altering his medical records. This wasn't just financial anymore, folks. It was a legitimate threat to his actual health care. So absolutely frustrated by jurisdictional police limitations, because let's face it, local cops can't really do much across state lines without a name or a plate, the victim proactively transforms his entire lifestyle. He adopts this vigilante playbook. He set up targeted Google alerts, froze his credit, and obsessively monitored regional Craigslist postings. Eventually, all that hard work paid off. He actually spotted his stolen Best Buy power tools listed on a Jackson, Tennessee Craigslist page. So he contacts the seller, sets up a meetup, and critically manages to convince the local Jackson police to intervene. It was this meticulously planned police sting. When the suspect arrived in a red pickup and saw the cops, he panicked, fled the scene, and crashed his truck right into a ditch. Visibly shaken, the guy quickly confessed, exposing a highly sophisticated 3-man ring that had been systematically targeting isolated interstate travelers all across the South. Part 6. Lessons from the Highway. Let's talk survival tactics. Now, it's one thing to just hear these scary stories, right? But it's entirely another to arm ourselves with the knowledge they provide. Let's break this down. These aren't just creepy tales around a campfire. They are a stark reminder that situational awareness and recognizing behavioral anomalies are your absolute best defenses against psychological manipulation. In the social realm, Amir exploited familiarity. The lesson? Enforce strict boundaries, even with people you just kinda know. With authority, the fake cop exploited the uniform. The lesson there is to always verify credentials and completely trust your gut if behavior seems off. And in isolation, the mechanic exploited goodwill. The absolute most vital lesson there is to protect your core identity documents. Seriously, never travel with your Social Security card in your everyday wallet. Just don't do it. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative thought. We navigate our entire lives assuming a baseline social contract, a mutual respect between people. But when the lights go down on an empty highway, or a so-called friend refuses to leave your home, who do we really trust when we step out our front door? Ponder that the next time you pack your bags and head out onto the vulnerable open road. Stay safe, stay aware, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.